Good evening, friends. Welcome back to another Saturday Night Drinks and Movies Talk. I got my man, bearded comic bro here. What's up,
going
man?
on? Not much. Got my drink. I'm ready to talk some movies. So
That's not a White Claw, is it? We got to watch out.
So this is you still might judge me, but so I'm in the sour beers, and this is it is a peanut butter banana jelly sour beer.
What?
And it is everything you imagine that you'd want in a beer that is called a peanut butter jelly.
banana jelly.
Like it's fantastic. So yeah, I love sour beers, and that's what's up.
Sorry, it's so exciting. Jeffrey's been in a couple of chats today. It's good seeing you, my brother Jeffrey. Thanks for coming by, brother. Yeah, I've been off beer for almost since quarantine started, maybe a little before.
Okay.
So tonight I am having a little more Woodford Reserve, some Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. I got my Globe Ice Cube in there, my Death Star, as it were.
Yeah, I usually am a whiskey, but the more and more I'm doing these live streams with everyone, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have to stick to a beer. It's easier to
pace yourself,
to regulate that.
Yeah, for sure. I respect that. So we've been doing, this is the third one of these, sort of recapping some of the 30 days of African Americans in cinema that I was doing on my Instagram. And if you want, you can go back and check these out. I'll add this to the playlist that I created when we're done here. Bearded joined me last week, and because he was so, 2 weeks ago, because he was so amazing that first week in the chat. He knows his movies. It's like bam, bam, bam. He knows what's up. So it's been fun having him join me on this. It's been amazing. And we want to try to come up with some way to keep doing something like this every week or two. Stay tuned as we kind of like come up with themes maybe for each show.
And sheesh, if you're watching, if you have ideas of like what types of, you want us to see us happen, let us know.
Yeah, leave comments on the video of ideas you think, because we were doing this. It started with just wanting to talk about African-American culture and African-American contributions to cinema. And now it's like, okay, well, how can we keep the discussion about movies going? Especially on Saturday nights. There's a ton of auctions. We were saying beforehand, it's nice to have some other content rolling through.
Yeah.
Let's see who's in the chat here. D-Runk liked the thumbnail. He's a big fan of the movie Fallen, and he's even singing the Rolling Stones music that goes with it, so he knows what's up. My man Ruben Guzman, he says all's well with Denzel. There you go. Perry's lurking because he's looking for more movies to watch, and I'll tell you right now, brother, you're going to get a ton. You're going to get a ton.
Take notes.
All right. Kevin from 1-2 Comic Talk, hello to you. My good man, my homie, Just a Rican in his comics, Rod, thank you for coming by. Said hello to you, Jeffrey, thank you. Captain, how you doing? Ahoy, matey. Jeffrey's day in the house. Jeffrey's been rolling through a lot of great chats today, and it's been nice seeing him bouncing through. Chad Fisher's here too. Hello to Chad. Not much enjoying my new drawing table. Ooh, that sounds exciting. We can expect some content around him drawing, maybe. TJ the Slab Dragon's got his cowboy hat. He's saying hello to you. Coach Vic knows movies as well, and it's been awesome seeing Coach Vic here on Instagram. Whenever I would post different people, he'd be like, "Oh, you should think of this person or this movie." He's awesome. Hey, Jesus Shuttleworth, that's a great comment.
I was waiting for the first person to mention the Jesus Shuttlesworth jersey. So yes, that is Ray Allen's jersey from a movie that we are definitely going to talk about tonight.
Heck yeah.
So yeah.
In fact, it's going to be right near the top of the order when we get this rolling here. So thank you all for coming by. We'll continue to shout out the chat if you've got comments about any of these people, movies that we might be overlooking. As always, I made a little slideshow for us to kind of help you visualize, see what we're doing. We're in part 3 here tonight. And like Greg was saying, we're starting with the man. He was the last person that I mentioned in my 30 days, but we're going to start guns blazing.
We're going guns blazing. I was ready. Like I was getting ready to talk about it at the end. I'm like, he's going to be the last one.
Nope.
No, we're jumping out into.
I wanted to surprise you. I wanted you to be like, wait, now where is this going?
I don't care. This might be a 2-hour stream just because
Right.
I'll spend the first hour talking about Denzel.
Well, that's part of the reason I really wanted to spend time talking about
Right.
Denzel. I mean, he is arguably the most successful African American actor ever. I mean, just potentially. And the next slide is the one that kind of shows it. But yeah, he's a writer, he's an actor, he's a producer, he's directed a few films. The guy is just freaking amazing. And yeah, I mean, I had to include him. He was the final nail in the coffin of this series.
Well,
And this page. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, everyone kept asking, like, oh, is Denzel going to make the list? Well, yes, Denzel's going to make the list.
You can't not, right? You can't not. And I had forgotten this piece of information, which is how many Oscar nominations and wins. 8, folks. 8 times he's either won or been nominated for an Oscar. All the way back to Cry Freedom, which was like one of his earliest movies. And then, of course, many other great films. Glory, he won the Oscar for, and Training Day. Flight, which I think is a hugely underrated one of his Oscar films. We mentioned it when we had Don Cheadle come through here last time. Do you have a favorite performance from Denzel?
From just him in general, or just the Oscar?
Well, no, either or, whatever you want to do.
I mean, so mine's going to be what everyone, I think, when you go to, is his win for Best Actor, Training Day. And I mean, looking at this list, it's even amazing, like, how many, though, like, he should have so many more than just 2 Oscar wins. Like,
right.
That's this insane part. I mean, I remember seeing Training Day and just being blown away. You know, we talked about the director, you know, what was it, last 2 weeks ago? You know, it was just a stellar cast, and that's what I think it was such a good, well done movie, and it was such a great cast that then to see Denzel still shine the way he did, that just shows you the type of actor that he is, in my opinion.
Very well said. Yeah. And that dynamic of the 2 Oscar nominees, you know, Ethan Hawke and Denzel, was so perfectly sort of laid out that, yeah, just those 2 together were just dynamite, pure dynamite.
Oh, yeah.
Hello to Stay Puff, my Wire homie. So next Friday, the Wire discussion continues with Sean. And if you missed today, he had an amazing panel of African-American women in comic books on.
Nice.
Phenomenal panel. I was in there like almost the entire time. That's where I saw Jeffrey earlier. So if you missed it, you guys should check out Stay Puff 1983's live stream from earlier today. Hello, Kay Titus. Yes, we did say Ray Allen, Rican. You definitely heard that for sure.
Oh, yeah. And don't worry, we'll get to that real soon.
Exactly. Hello, Flashpoint. Good to see you. Seen Training Day. There you go. Yeah, with Ava Mendez smoking hot fire emoji. Fact.
That's like when your son does something, you're like, oh, thank goodness you made your father proud.
my baby all grown
you made
up.
John proud.
You're grown up, baby. So for me, like if I was going to pick off of this list, I'm definitely partial to Glory.
Right.
And you know, that moment when he's getting whipped and the tears going down the face and you see all the other whip marks on his back. And it's just the comment that makes, that almost completely silent sequence makes on slavery is mind-blowingly good. Just that one, just when they strip his shirt off and you see the wounds, and the guy who's going to whip him looks at Matthew Broderick like, should I still do this? Like he's instantly questioning the order just because of what he's seen. So powerful. Wait a second, that's not Ryan. I'd never replaced Ryan on this show. This has always been Bearded Comic Bro and I. Ryan gets the Wire and the Top 5 show. Bearded Comic Bro gets Drinks and Movies, and he is slaying it. But and I need to go back and watch Cry Freedom. I wanted to say it because I haven't seen that in at least a decade.
Yeah, that's been a while. And honestly, the Roman J. Israel is actually the only time it's a Denzel movie that he's been nominated for that I have not had the chance to see.
I haven't seen it either. That's funny.
That's one of the few, because I was like going through Denzel's movies. I'm like, yep. Because, and I'm sure we'll get into it. What's funny is a lot of Denzel's movies, even if it's a bad script or a bad movie, it's really not a bad movie because Denzel just carries it so well. And I think
he can elevate, yeah, for sure.
But I mean, even Fences, it literally is a play that is done into a movie format, and it's so engaging just because, I mean, there's what, 3 characters, I think, in the entire movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, it doesn't hurt that you have Viola Davis, but
I was going to say that when you have those 2 in the main roles, you just let the cameras roll, right?
Right. You don't need anything else.
So I broke it down into some action thrillers here for Denzel. I remember seeing a lot of these movies right here in the theater.
Yep.
Man on Fire was a theater experience. I will straight tell you that the action in that was so brutal, so epic. Another great Scott film. And then directly under it, Crimson Tide with the great Gene Hackman. Just awesome stuff. And Fallen, which I think is a supremely underrated movie. And it's, I want to say, written by a gentleman who used to write episodes of NYPD Blue. And the reason I heard of the movie was because my cousin married a gentleman who worked on the show NYPD Blue in the camera department. And I could go and visit the set of NYPD Blue and hang out, not the like naked stuff, but like, you know, when they're shooting on the city streets or whatever. And
Fallen is highly underrated, I think.
And he was telling me, though, at the time that they were going to go, and in between the seasons of NYPD Blue, a lot of the same people were going over to work on Fallen because of the guy writing the script. And he told me about it in advance. I was like, oh, I got to see this movie. And it's got such great twists. Amazing.
Oh, man. Stay Puft just dropped a nugget that's one of my favorite Denzels that is highly underrated, highly because it came out in, I think, 1991. It was right after, it was like after Glory, but it was really before he got into the starring role. So it was before he got, I forget what was 92, like Pelican Brief came out pretty quickly after that. But Ricochet with John Lithgow.
Yeah. And that was when John Lithgow was playing a lot of villains. You know, Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone. So many good stuff. And I honestly had a big challenge with Denzel, just being able to fit as many of his movies into something like this as possible. There were a lot of movies I ended up leaving out. There's one called Virtuosity that I really dug with Russell Crowe. That like nobody ever really saw. I saw that in the theater and I was like, this is great. I love this movie.
I think that's one of those movies, though, I think is a victim of its time. Because it's at 1995 kind of time frame where it comes off cheesy. It's a very cool story. Like if you don't, like where they basically make a character with combined of 50 different serial killers of all time, and Russell Crowe is fantastic in it. And
super skinny, super young Russell Crowe who just basically chews the scenery for like the entire movie. And he's amazing. Like he just lights that movie up.
Yep.
So if you missed Virtuosity, that's a good one. I don't have a little slideshow for that one because I just figured nobody's really heard of that one. He's also got a lot of drama comedies. I remember seeing Much Ado About Nothing, the Shakespeare film that Kenneth Branagh made, and Denzel plays the head of the soldiers. It's a great movie. I saw it in high school with my brother, and we were just flipping around and we hit PBS and it was playing. We're like, oh, let's check this out. And 2 teenage boys watching Shakespeare, and we couldn't stop. We were laughing. It was hilarious. The performances are great. So many talented people, Michael Keaton and Keanu Reeves. It's just a freaking awesome movie. And then we've talked about Devil in a Blue Dress I think 3 times now.
As we should.
I feel like I'm getting brain dead mentioning how freaking good Devil in a Blue Dress is, and people should check it out because I'm just not really going to get into it again.
Yeah, just check it out.
Right.
I mean, Remember the Titans, you don't need to say anything about it except for how amazing it is. There's so many. Well, even I'm trying to think. I don't think it would be on this slide if you had it. I remember one of my first Denzel movies was The Preacher's Wife?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Denzel.
Right, exactly. Look at all the great people mentioning movies in here. Thank you, Gore Vidal, for coming by. Jeffrey with a Malcolm X hat. I wish I had photos of that. That would have been amazing. Stay Puff says Mississippi Masala is another great one for sure. Sing J, good to see you. TJ says he joined Amnesty International after he saw Cry Freedom in the theater. Great movie. And I want to mention an underrated one. I love Courage Under Fire, and I don't know if you saw that movie.
Yep.
One of my early times seeing Matt Damon in a movie, and he lost like a crazy ton of weight to play this sort of drug addict, PTSD soldier. He's amazing. Lou Diamond Phillips has a great role, just ripped as all get out. And then, of course, you've got Denzel and you've got Meg Ryan just stealing the show. But a great film looking at soldiers returning from war and some of the challenges. I think Courage Under Fire is just so freaking great.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think if you get a good script behind Denzel, I mean, because then you look right underneath Courage Under Fire, Philadelphia. Right. I mean, talk about a powerful story that still is relevant in today's day and age. I think it's just shifted a little bit, but it's a powerful story, and I think that's when he shines, when he gets those scripts that can elevate that a little bit.
Absolutely, for sure. So we're nearing the end of the Denzel section. I think I might have one more slide. Nope, I'm on the final favorite. So I try to pick 2 movies for every person who rolls through here that highlight maybe some performances or just underrated films that people may not have seen. And for me, I think in the history of Philadelphia, which is an iconic movie for Tom Hanks, forget how great Denzel Washington is in this movie. And his sleazy lawyer has this great arc. And I really do think that movie only works because Hanks has Denzel. And I think that the sort of yin yang that they have going in that story as characters is so phenomenal. And then, of course, I've mentioned Fallen a couple of times now. What a great thriller, amazing twists. So these are the 2 that I would pick as far as like movies from Denzel's career that maybe if you're young like Perry, you've never heard of,
right?
But maybe you should check out.
And so I wanted because I was like, I came in last or 2 weeks ago with this. I was like, everything you suggested, I was like, so I was going to say that. So like towards the end, I started to pick. I'm like, no, I'm going to go a different than what. And so I kind of was thinking, I'm like, what? I was playing the game this week. What would John pick? And then
so did you call any of these?
So I didn't. I thought Philadelphia, but I thought you would have put Glory. But I also was wondering, were you going to go more like, because everyone, I wasn't going to put Training Day just because you've seen Training. Like if Perry's seen Training Day, you've all seen Training Day.
Yeah, everybody's seen.
So I was wondering about Fallen because it is one of those that you're either you like it or you don't remember it, and
or you never saw it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, look at that cast. You've got Denzel, you've got John Goodman, you've got Donald Sutherland, you've got the guy who wasn't the guy who played Casey Jones in the Turtles movie?
Yeah, he was the original.
Is the actual guy who gets murdered.
Yeah.
So my 2 would be it would be one that was going to be Ricochet, just because I thought no one would see it. I thought it really showed Denzel being able to take the shine as a leading actor. So I think it came out the same time as Mississippi did. So I don't know which one came out first, but I mean, it was right at that early start of his career where I think you could see you pair him with someone like a John Lithgow villain,
right? And
you're like, okay, you're going to see greatness. And then my other one, I didn't care if anyone had it or not. I was going to pick He Got Game.
Herminio Reyes Jr. has mentioned it too. He played a great mentor, father figure, right? And
it is I mean, as a sports fan myself, you have the powerful story of, his dad, and basically the elevator pitch, his son's a all-star recruit, and his dad's in jail, and the governor of the state's like, hey, I'll let you out if you can convince your son to go to my college alma mater.
Crazy, like, oh my God, right?
And they just the impact of Ray Allen, you can tell he was a basketball guy, but he not a polished actor. But I think his scenes with Denzel helps bring him alongside of that. And I think that's what shows you Denzel is just fantastic.
Great. That's a great pick. And I think when you look at all the films he's made with Spike Lee, Inside Man was a great one not too long ago.
Yep.
I think it gets overlooked. And I think He Got Game is of those films. And I just recently rewatched Malcolm X. I still think He Got Game is a better performance by Denzel. It's just such a great character.
It really is. It's a powerful character, which is crazy to say that, like you said, like that you think it's more of a than Malcolm X. Like, but it's. I mean, that just shows you the strength of Denzel as an actor.
Awesome. Yeah, well said. Yeah, Heart Condition I had a slide for Heart Condition. I remember seeing that on HBO. Heart Condition, hilarious.
And
I'm often told I look like Denzel meets Brad Pitt. People lying to you, sucker.
No one told you that. And I feel like because it didn't make a slide, man, we'd be remiss if we didn't just mention John Q.
Ooh, yeah.
Talk about just like the pain of a father, like trying to do what's best and for his kid. And I mean, he hijacks a hospital. What, like, come on.
Yeah, it's a great film.
But that also shows you, like, you have 20 slides or 20 movies that you put on slides, and people are still gonna pop up in the chat like, yeah, you forgot this one. You forgot this one. We glazed over. Remember
right?
the Titans.
Virtuosity. He Got Game. Where are these other movies, right?
We didn't even talk about his TV show that he was on in the 80s.
Was it Hill Street Blues? Well, no, it was the
Seen Elsewhere
one. Yeah, Elsewhere. Yeah.
Yep.
See, I was too young to see that show. I mean, I knew he was on it, but I
mean, it's more of my knowledge. I didn't know. Like, I haven't watched too much of it, but
look, see, there they go. Bone Collector, Inside Man. I didn't make slides for either one of those.
No, Inside Man with Clive Owen. Yeah, that was, and then Bone Collector. Who was a female lead? Angelina Jolie.
Jolie. Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say Jolie.
Yeah, because that's when he gets, like, he's a forensic guy who gets paralyzed.
Yep.
And then he uses Angelina Jolie as his eyes and ears. Yeah.
It was his version of Kiss the Girls, basically. he was following that Morgan Freeman strategy.
Yep.
All right, let's see who's next on the list. Next up, we got Action Jackson himself, Mr. Carl Weathers. Man, I'll tell you, this guy is as much a part of, like, 80s action for me as Stallone or Schwarzenegger or Steven Seagal, probably because he worked with pretty much all these guys, but mostly because he held his own with all of these guys.
He did.
He's had several phases in his career, and I kind of tried to capture a lot of that. People mentioned when I posted this on Instagram, don't forget he played football. Don't forget he played football. I'm like, right there on this first slide, it says athlete right there. Actor. Yep. I included that. But his early films, it was basically just a ton of Rocky. Like a ton of Rocky. There's
I'm there for it.
Right? Exactly. I forgot he had a cameo appearance in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's the one in the bottom there in the corner.
Dude, wow.
He's one of the soldiers, apparently. Yeah. He was in Death Hunt with Lee Marvin. Amazing little cameo part in that. Force 10 from Navarone, the sequel to Guns of Navarone with is it Harrison Ford in that? I think Harrison Ford had a role in that. And what's his name from Jaws? The boat, yeah.
Roy.
The boat captain from Jaws.
Oh,
I can't remember his name right now. Shaw? Is it Robert Shaw?
Yes.
I think it's Robert Shaw. Lots of good stuff in there. Dylan, you son of a bit, right? There it is. Look at you guys. Right there. You're on it. You're on it. I love this chat. You guys are on it. So that was his early stuff. Then he moved into bigger roles, Predator, Action Jackson, Hurricane Smith, which a lot of people didn't see. I don't know that I remember seeing that one. And then, of course, stuff with Adam Sandler. Happy Gilmore's a great, great movie. Toy Story 4, he had a role as Combat Carl.
Yeah.
He was Combat Carl in Toy Story 4, if you didn't know that. And then he's done a ton of TV. I had to include The Mandalorian, but my preference is obviously for Arrested Development.
Yes.
That would be my preference, where he played himself. Then a lot of crappy television. Street Justice, Fortune Dane. He came into In the Heat of the Night series in the last 2 seasons of that. And then lately, Chicago PD and Chicago Justice as well. He was on those shows. And if I was going to pick 2, hard twist here, I'm not picking Rocky 1. I'm picking Rocky 2. And I think it's because I like his character's arc in this one a little more. This guy who's feeling like he didn't win a fight that he actually did win, and it's upsetting him and it's obsessing him, and he can't let it go. And then, of course, Dylan in Predator, absolutely phenomenal role. I even tried to find a poster that included him on it, just because there he is, right?
Yeah. Man.
You
So
have to include the Mandalorian for this. This is the way. See? There you go.
well,
So those would be the two that I would pick. I would not pick Rocky 1, although Rocky 1 is probably a better movie than Rocky 2. I just did it. I did it for Apollo.
John, you son of a bee. Because I was like, which one's he get? Rocky 2, because of the same thing. The story arc with him is, you can't beat that. Like, because you're right. He's struggling with the emotion of, he won the fight, but he didn't. Like, you're like in everyone's eyes, and like, it's Rocky, and
he's not the celebrity after the fight, right? Everybody wants to talk about Rocky after that big fight because Rocky stood up to the champ, and he's feeling like, I won though, and nobody respects that, which is hilarious because then he gets in the ring and legitimately loses.
Yeah. Yep. And I knew you were going to pick Predator because you've mentioned Predator, I think, all 3 shows.
It has to happen.
So I'll switch out Predator and I'll put Happy Gilmore in, literally because his role as Chubbs is so good. And as a kid, remember watching that and just the hand, like, you can't. And I think that shows you like his range, even himself as an actor right there, of like, that he can have these roles of, the athlete like Rocky and then in Predator. But you see him like in Happy Gilmore. You saw him in his role in Arrested Development, where he plays his own acting, Carl Weathers acting coach, like for Tobias.
God, I love that.
It's so good. So.
Well, and Jabroni's mentioning Rocky 3. Isn't that the one where they like hug each other in the water at the end? It's like a little bit much. It's a little much.
It's honestly, it's hard for me to separate Carl's role in the Rocky, because like, you could, even in 4 where he gets done so dirty, but like, it's all of that plays off into it. Like,
well, into now when they're making the Creed film,
right? Into the Creed film is into whatever. So it's hard to separate. Like, and I think people do that a lot with like, MCU movies or something, where you've seen the character so often. People like Thor. That's hard to separate Thor, like, and forget that Thor really wasn't as funny and as charismatic as he is in the first 2, but because you're so used to it because of the other movies and what he's. And I think that's hard to do sometimes when you're getting into someone who's done an iconic role like he did of Apollo Creed for so long.
Absolutely.
To separate like which one was the iconic part.
And I will say, as much as I've seen movies like Commando or Predator from Arnold, I've probably seen Action Jackson the same amount of times. I watched that movie a ton. It is worthy of being alongside some of those great cheesy 80s action movies.
Yep.
So if you've never seen Action Jackson, but you like those 80s action kind of things, definitely give that one a little look-see if you get a shot. Okay, and then, you mentioned Happy Gilmore. I saw a meme that was his Mandalorian character telling the Mandalorian that he's got 3 more people he wants him to catch, and it's the Predator, it's the alligator from Happy Gilmore, and I can't remember what the third one is, but it's like 3 of his other movie character villains that have defeated him. Hilarious.
Yep.
Nailed it. All right, let's see who is next. We got a lady, and we got the great Regina King. I rewatched Jerry Maguire today. I forgot how freaking awesome she is. What a great performance she gave in the movie. But she's in a ton of stuff, and this is one where even for me, she's in 2 of my favorite TV shows in the last 20 years, and just absolutely blowing it away in both of those. But she's also been around for a long time in a ton of stuff. Poetic Justice is on here. You can see that. Enemy of the State. Of course, back in the day, all the Friday, Boys in the Hood, Higher Learning, Love and Hate, Thin Line Between Love and Hate. She was in a ton of things in those early films. And then I think I first noticed her and realized who she was in Jerry Maguire. And then later when I would rewatch Friday and Boys in the Hood, I'd be like, oh my God, it's the same girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, her more recent stuff, a lot more comedy, drama kind of stuff. She's got honestly, I like the Miss Congeniality movies. I don't hate on those at all. And she's great in Miss Congeniality too. She basically has to, it's toe to toe with Sandra Bullock the whole time. She's got a great role in Ray. Stella got her groove back. And If Beale Street Could Talk is a real underrated film I think it's still on Netflix. People could check it out.
I think it's on one of the streaming services. I know. But yeah, her performance in that is obviously, I mean,
award-winning. Award-winning, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, if I feel like sometimes it's weird to say like award-winning films get overlooked because like especially in I think in our context we get a lot of like blockbuster movies. We're like, oh, there needs to be more Avengers and Lord of the Rings and the Oscars, but it's like, man, that's such a good movie, and you see her acting chops in that. Fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Sorry, I missed some comments here.
Oh yeah,
because he's never seen Action Jackson. That is mind blowing to me. And I'm really being phony about that.
Do it.
I love black people. Oh my gosh, that's the whole sequence is hilarious, and I love how you don't meet Rod Tidwell and Jerry Maguire first. You meet her first. She's in Jerry's office with her son. He's like breaking stuff. He's throwing the bats around. And she's the one who's like, I know about the 4 jewels of the celebrity endorsement dollar. And she's running through like you can see how smart and savvy she is and what a great team she and her husband Rod make.
Yep. So
phenomenal. Boondocks. Yeah. I think she does a voice for Boondocks, right? As well. Yeah. Voice of the Riley and Hugh. I can't understand that. Confused. Oh, yes. Huey and Riley in the boot. I get it. Whoopi was on the list last time. That was one time ago.
Oh yeah, because I got them to talk about Eddie. I got to talk about how it was such an unrealistic movie where just for the fact that the Knicks made the playoffs.
That's shocking twists, right? But hey, it's movie magic is what you call that. Right?
But man,
I wanted to mention her television stuff.
Yes.
Southland, she did several seasons on that show. Boondocks is there. But for me, it's all about the HBO. I love The Leftovers. And when she came in season 2, I was like, dang, she is fire on that show. And then, of course, she is Watchmen. That show only works because of her.
She carries it.
She is phenomenal in that show. So if you haven't seen it, I'm just going to pimp to the final slide here because I did kind of do it already. I had to do a TV show here because it's her show top to bottom. And then I had to do Jerry Maguire after watching it again today. I was like, yeah, these are the bookends of her career for right now for me. I first really recognized her in Jerry Maguire, and it's one of my all-time favorite movies. And then Watchmen. That's it.
I don't know what they're going to do with everything going on in our society right now, but with awards and ceremonies and stuff, but if she doesn't get a nomination at the least for her role in Watchmen, like they're insane.
It's a crime, right?
It's insane. So I'm gonna stick to my guns and I'm gonna go different than you. Because I have to. So I got to throw out if Beale Street could talk because I feel like a lot of people in the chat might not have gotten to see it yet because I know it was very recent. It is just a powerful story that you see of, two separate families just kind of coming together, trying to figure out of pregnancy out of wedlock. Like it just is. And then just all the other circumstances that there's so many storylines inside that story. And then Regina King just kills it in that. And I'm going to throw out, it was on your slide, so I don't feel too shabby about doing it. I'm going to throw out, if you haven't seen it, watch Down to Earth.
Oh yeah, Chris Rock.
Because most of Chris Rock's movies don't translate. Enemy of the State was great. Yes, it is great, but I feel like I'll talk about Enemy of the State more later on in the show.
Right.
But Down to Earth, because I think Regina really compliments Chris Rock in that. And most of Chris Rock's movies don't translate well because he's such a funny guy as a stand-up comedian. And I thought that's why this worked well for him better because he plays a stand-up comedian in it. And so you get that. And it just is, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. It's a fun story that I remember watching as a kid. So I'm throwing that out there of if you just want to have a laugh, I think you'll enjoy it. I'm not comparing it to Beale Street Could Talk or The Watchmen.
But that's not the point, right? The point is movies that you enjoy and would like to watch again or that had some impact on you. Down to Earth and If Beale Street Could Talk are both meet that criteria in spades.
And I mean, we glanced.
And again, I admitted to watching and enjoying Miss Congeniality too. Right. So just it's, by the way, subtitled Armed and Fabulous.
And we didn't even mention Ray. And
right. I don't know. It's funny that you'd have a list of all these amazing movies and Ray would get completely overlooked.
Right. I think we probably skipped over Ray a lot too with Jamie Foxx just because of Collateral and all. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I could talk Collateral all night. And I'd say with Training Day, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a big Regina King fan. And again, it sounds like a lot of people still haven't caught around to Watchmen yet because they canceled their HBO after Game of Thrones went off the air, and you missed out.
And two, you missed out. You guys need to pay attention to social media better because they did like a free HBO weekend to watch The Watchmen like 2 weekends ago or something. So,
because it's amazing, and I learned a lot about, like, I didn't know about the Battle of Tulsa, the Tulsa massacre. I mean, that was a shocking piece of history that I had never known without that show. So I appreciated a lot of the historical aspects that I was given.
Yep. Yeah, definitely watch it.
Who we got next? We got I don't know. Is he maybe the highest paid African American actor in film history? This guy is, it's raining dollar bills on this guy. Will Smith is he was the Fresh Prince, but now he's just the king of Hollywood. The guy has got so many movies that it was kind of hard to just fit them all into these slides here. Just the boss. I mean, the guy, musician, producer, actor, you name it. The guy's been doing it for a long while now, and a lot of powerful movies, whether they're comedy, action, drama. The guy just kind of does everything. And I went with, here's some of the 90s films, and I will say you get the highs and the lows here. Wild Wild West. I mean, we could probably just not remember that. I think a lot of us would prefer. But at the same time, I think some people skipped and missed 6 Degrees of Separation, and I think that was a movie that you should definitely not miss.
No.
So a lot of great stuff there. And then in the early 2000s, when he started really being that leading man, getting all of his movies produced and made. Pursuit of Happiness, man, that movie's gonna get you in the feels, brother. If you have not seen Pursuit of Happiness, that's a movie you should check out. That movie's amazing. Legend of Bagger Vance, I come and go on that one. I think it's beautifully shot. It's a little bit weird for me. I'm not really into it all that much.
I think I like it for his character though.
Yeah, Bagger Vance.
I think his character, again, like the story, but his role in it, I think was great.
Right, exactly. Let's see. Pass it to Will, right? Pass to Will. Let's see here.
Oh.
Wild Wild West. Still.
Are we talking about passing it to Will?
There it is. Will Smith is an underrated, even with the money he makes, he gets so much hate. I agree. I think he doesn't get the same level of respect, considering some of the movies, like I just said, Pursuit of Happiness is Oscar worthy, in my opinion, just as much as any of these other movies that he's made. I know Ali was the big Oscar contender from his those.
But I mean, that's actually it's as crazy as it sounds that he to say Will Smith is an underrated actor. You look at Ali, you look at Pursuit of Happiness, both were roles that he was an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. And I know this more just because I'm weird like that, but and I try to watch as many of the Oscar movies as I can for the top 5 categories. So I'm invested. And so I'll watch the prediction polls, and both of those polls, they had him down at the very bottom of both the time. It was because, and I'm like, are you kidding me? If you watch the trailer of Pursuit of Happiness, and if you're not emotional, in that,
it's such a lights out movie, and I think, if you don't think he's a good actor, that's the movie to watch. You're just going to be blown away. Well, not that Ali isn't. I mean, Ali is an iconic performance as well.
And 7 Pounds was an overlooked movie too. It's such a unique storyline, which is fantastic. And that would I'll get to it later. But 7 Pounds, underrated.
Yeah, and I included it on here as a movie that I think I saw that on TV later after it had been in theaters because I hadn't heard much about it, and then I was like, wow, people did not talk about this movie, and he is powerfully, tear-jerking in that movie as well.
Yep.
And let's see, I got his more recent stuff has not been among his best stuff.
And I think that plays into it. I think that's what plays into a little bit of what Riz was saying about him being underrated. I think people are looking at, you know, the flop of After Earth and, you know,
Suicide Squad
but Suicide Squad, the movie, he wasn't bad in it. And like,
yeah, he's not bad in it, but the movie was just complete.
The movie didn't do him justice, and that's hard to say that like a movie actually hurt Will Smith's acting. Like that's hard to do.
Right. I think it's just a bad fit for that film, anyways. I mean, he could be the lead in a movie, not the like second lead in the movie or something. And Concussion, I do think is an underrated movie. I thought that was a great. I mean, I'm not a big football fan, so getting me to watch a football film is probably not the easiest thing in the world, but. Wow, what a great look at the science of concussions. I mean, powerful stuff.
And I had high hopes for Gemini Man, and I honestly did not get a chance to see it, and I've heard nothing but not great things about it. So
that's tough.
But I mean, even his role in Genie as the Aladdin, and I thought he did a good job in that. And that is a tough role because of you're going from an iconic role of Robin Williams, who then also has a benefit of it being animated.
Right.
And then you have to bring Will Smith into it and do a different version of the Genie than Robin Williams, because you can't redo what Robin Williams does.
Absolutely.
And I thought it was a really well done for that as well.
And those are really challenging slippers to fill.
Yes.
If I was gonna pick two, these would be my two. Men in Black is just like honestly, you watch these two movies, I feel like you get Will Smith's career. I know they're more of his earlier stuff, but that's the stuff I like the most. I saw 6 Degrees of Separation in the theater, and I was watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air at the time, and then my buddy who was into art movies was like, "Oh, we got to go see this movie because Will Smith's in it." And we were two like high school kids sitting down in a theater and watching you would never have guessed we would be there to see 6 Degrees of Separation. And we both came out of it firstly, we came out of it blown away that was The Fresh Prince. Yep. Second, we came out of it going like, that was a freaking amazing movie. A play turned into a film, obviously, but like, wow, what a great movie.
Yo. Man, this is tough because like I liked I Am Legend, you know, and Gord mentioned, or maybe
he mentioned the first half of Legend was fine, then it collapsed into CGI nonsense. The best remakes of the classics, I Am Legend remains the Omega Man. Last on Earth,
And I still love and I love though that you had the Batman Superman poster in there that had nothing to do with it except for the fact that the writer was originally penned the script at Batman Superman movie that got canceled, and so they're like, for fun, let's just throw this up there, like. So I'm going to throw, because again, I'm trying to go separate from what you have done. So I'm throwing in 7 pounds because I think it's one that people don't watch. I think it was one that people thought was going to hit that Oscar buzz, and it kind of was right underneath it. And so people then thought it was going to be, it didn't get nominated for an Oscar. It has to be a bad movie then, which is insane.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
And then, like you said, you can't go wrong with him, but I'm going to throw, just because we haven't talked, I'm going to throw in Bad Boys. I mean, his chemistry with Martin Lawrence, and I'm talking as in Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2. I haven't seen Bad Boys 3. So
I haven't either, actually. Yeah.
And so before y'all jump down my throat of like, oh, have you seen 3? Like, because I've heard it's not great, but
right.
I think you can't go wrong with his movies. And I think that like you said, 6 Degrees of Separation, Men in Black, 7 pounds, Pursuit of Happiness. Like, again, if you haven't watched Pursuit of Happiness, do it. His time on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which I've been rewatching because of it's on HBO Max now. And
really? I got to check it out then.
So if you have HBO Max, that was one of their draws, was the first streaming service to have Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know, so like, but it's that same storyline that Jamie Foxx had, right? Of coming from like, oh, is this kind of, you know, he's a rapper, you know, and
he's done comedy and sitcom TV.
And then he comes out with 6 Degrees of Separation and
Independence Day.
Yeah, Independence Day. We didn't even talk about Independence.
Right.
But
I mean, I remember seeing Independence Day in the theater and being like, this is the will. You know, you see 6 Degrees and Independence Day within like a year. I think those came out, and it was like, what in the like? You wouldn't think it was the same person.
yeah, it's
Much less the kid on Fresh Prince.
Yeah, it's so good. And I honestly, I think Men in Black gets kind of overlooked from the aspect that everyone ties it in with all the other movies that they've done because they haven't been great. But the first one
suck. Yeah.
I didn't hate the second one. Johnny Knoxville was a little too much, but I think that was him. Yeah, because the third was what's his face from Flight of the Conchords.
Jermaine.
Yeah. I forget. But I think it's that lumped in like the Men in Black movies. Well, the first one though,
it's so fucking good. I mean, it's
a comic book. And it's a comic book movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Based off a comic book, so we're bringing it back around, gang. We're still talking a little bit about comics on our comic shows,
right? So we've done 4 out of our 10 for tonight, and we've hit on some of the all-time huge African Americans in cinema. Some of these big actors: Will Smiths, Denzel Washingtons. Let's see who we got next on the slideshow here. Angela Bassett. I obviously, What's Love Got to Do with It is a huge movie and worthy of all the praise for the performances and the music and everything. But then, I'm a big Strange Days fan. She's in Black Panther. She's how Johnny got his groove back. I'll tell you that. Like, she's absolutely amazing. There's a small film she made called Akeelah and the Bee that I kind of wanted to mention that I think is a really great family kind of movie. If you haven't seen it, Lawrence Fishburne's in it, which there's a lot of Lawrence Fishburne crossover stuff.
Because he was Ike, because they both were Oscar nominated for their portrayals of Ike and Tina in What's Love Got to Do About It.
And then they're both in Boys in the Hood together. So there's a lot of that crossover. And then again, I think their chemistry shows up in Akeelah and the Bee. I think it's a great underrated movie. There's a movie she made, The Rosa Parks Story, which is a made for TV movie that I saw. Really great small performance in that. Waiting to Exhale. We mentioned that when we were talking about Forrest Whitaker. So she's done a lot of great drama films. I love her sci-fi horror stuff. I can even enjoy Supernova, which is really garbage sci-fi, but I can totally enjoy it. Intact. She's got the boss lady role, which she plays a bunch in film. In Contact, you got your Vampire in Brooklyn,
which I feel like we didn't even mention really with Eddie Murphy stuff when we were talking about him, which is.
She is the queen, Stay Puft. You better believe it. She's the queen. And I'm a big American Horror Story fan on TV. And her role in Coven was phenomenal. Like, she's like the voodoo queen lady, and she's just super creepy badass in that. I really do enjoy that show. And then lately, I feel like in action movies, she's the woman in the chair or whatever, right? She's the one sitting there telling the Secret Service agents or the SWAT guys or whatever that she's telling Tom Cruise where to go in Fallout.
She's telling Gerard Butler where to go.
Yeah, in the Fallen series, she's even telling her son where to go in the Black Panther movies. She's just like, you go there. That's her job, right? She is sexy all get out. Vampire in Brooklyn is a good guilty pleasure. It's not a good movie, but it's enjoyable.
No.
So what did you want to say about Angela Bassett?
So, I mean, obviously, What's Love Got to Do with It? Like, it's one that if you're not familiar with it, because I feel like a lot of, people probably have seen Mission Impossible Fallout, London Has Fallen, and we're like, oh yeah, she's in it. Like, I love Angela Bassett, and I forgot that she was in Green Lantern. But that's right.
Many ladies. I think I had so many ladies make this list of 30 African Americans in cinema who played Amanda Waller in something.
Yep.
Right? Pam Grier did it on TV. Like, it felt like every woman that I went over, like Viola Davis did it in Suicide Squad. Like, everybody has played. Every great African American actress has played Amanda Waller at some point.
So Akeelah and the Bee was one that I really liked because it's a more recent one, and I think it's one that, you know, it's. I think it was an MTV film one.
Yeah, it was a TV movie of some kind, right?
It was. I think it actually had theatrical release, but I think it was like MTV produced it or something to that effect. So that's why, like, it was kind of like, oh, that's like when Nickelodeon's producing Harriet the Spy.
Right.
And you're like, is this gonna be? But also she was great in Notorious.
I never think I've seen that movie. The one about B.I.G., right?
Yeah, so she plays Biggie Smalls' mom.
I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and so that dynamic, and there again, it's not like it's a huge role throughout the movie, but it's one of those that's like she just is in so many good movies.
She always feels like, I mean, I know that Coach Vic says she's a boss. She feels like she is the boss, like she's in charge. She's the mom who's telling the kid what to do. You know, a lot of that stuff. Oh, I think it says I think MTV bought it at Cannes and then some. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So she feels like she's got this element of like strength and power that comes from her. So you look at her and you feel like, I'll do whatever you say, lady. I'll do whatever you say.
Yep.
I picked Strange Days and What's Love Got to Do with It. We've talked a little bit about What's Love, so I'm going to talk about Strange Days. I freaking love this movie. I think it's just like, I know that it's like, well, it was dated almost when it came out in the sense of it was like 1999, but it was like 1994 when this movie came out. I dig the technology, the way they use it. Ralph Fiennes is so greasy, so slimy, so hilariously awesome. And Angela Bassett is like so badass. And their sort of twisted love story that they have together. And you mix all of that with the race relation riots that they are incorporating into the story. It's supreme. Like, it's not just sci-fi. This is like legit drama that plays out in this movie. And it's just a really, really underrated movie that even when I saw it in theaters, nobody else was seeing it. Like, it was like, it came and went. People didn't really care about it. And I was like, this movie is freaking cool.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm already mentioned it a little bit. I was going to go Akeelah and the Bee just because I thought it's a good one. Like,
yeah.
You know, it feels like it should be a true story, but it's not. Right? You forget stuff like that. But that's when you have such a, because I think she also is a boss, but she also is very good at being a support when she needs to be, and she does that role a lot. But when she's on the screen, it's like, but yeah. So Akeelah and the Bee, I think, is a good one. If like you're just not, maybe you don't like some of these, you know, more intense movies. It's a feel good.
It's a good family movie. You can watch it, with your whole family.
So, and because I'm an awards junkie, I was gonna say What's Love Got to Do with It. So,
I mean, I almost went with Boys in the Hood because she's got a great role in that. But for me, it's, I mean, how do you escape from?
Yeah,
it's her training day or her Ray or whatever.
Right.
It's the movie that she'll always be remembered for.
Yep.
You know, and absolutely worthy. I mean, who else could be Tina Turner? Those iconic legs and that voice and that attitude and that whole victim hero like combination that is, how do you have strength and yet also be a victimized soldier? All right, we're already almost an hour in. I think we're halfway through the list, so let's see who we got next year. Well, you know, if we're gonna do Angela Bassett, we better follow that with Lawrence Fishburne because they're basically in all the same movies together. I even found a poster of Ant-Man and the Wasp that had him in it. I was so excited to find that they made his solo poster, but there he is in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Of course, The Matrix, and I'm a big Hannibal fan, and apparently Hannibal is trending on Netflix, which is freaking awesome. It's like it's like one of the top 20 over the last month on Netflix since they changed over in July. ton of people watching Hannibal for the first time now that it's on Netflix and they can stream 3 seasons of it.
Yeah.
And he was a great part in that show. But early films, I mean, I talked about Deep Cover in the very first one of these. I'm a big fan of that movie. And it was one of the first times I really saw Fishburne in a movie. And I was like, who is this guy? He is freaking the crap out of me. He is so intense. And then later I went back and realized, oh, he's that punk kid in Apocalypse Now. Or he has that small part in the Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Or he's in The King of New York, which is a great freaking movie.
Yep.
And I never connected him to the dad in Boys in the Hood, which is this. I mean, it's so opposite those other roles that his father figure in Boys in the Hood is scene stealing. He is the pillar of that movie.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I mean, what about it, right?
Yeah.
He does a lot of action horror stuff. I mean, there's a ton of comic book movies on here, right? Perry White, or he's Goliath, or he's the voice of the Silver Surfer. The Matrix movies, he has that cameo in the second John Wick movie. Event Horizon, which still freaks my little brother out. He still has nightmares. And then, of course, yeah, CSI. He took over on CSI. And, who else could take over for William Peterson? And then I got some drama comedy here. Akeelah and the Bee showing up again. Pee-wee's Playhouse has to be here. I mean, come on, right? TV, he's on Blackish, right? I mean, what a like I don't know how many seasons that show has been on for. Is it 5, 6?
Something like that.
Mystic River, he has a great role as one of the police officers in that. Othello, dude, he is Othello, like the iconic African American role in theater, right? So many great performances. What are your thoughts, man?
Well, just because we're on this, you're on this page. I'm gonna jump right into my 2 picks are both on this page.
Woo! One of mine is.
So, Mystic River, because I think for the fact that it is such a powerful story. And I think you had 2 of I think what Sean Penn and Tim Robbins actually won Oscars for their performances in that movie, and to still be able to shine and hold your own chops with 2. And I don't even know if someone else was nominated, but it wasn't a nominated film. And can you pick my second pick then? Let's see if you can pick my second pick.
Let's see if it's the one I picked, because I think it is. Searching for Bobby Fischer. I love this movie.
If you would have said Searching for Bobby Fischer is my second pick, I did not think you would have picked that. But
it's so good. It's such a good movie.
So I was a nerd as a kid, and I'm still a nerd, obviously. I talk about comics, but I love playing chess. And so you don't get very many chess movies. And right. So that, I think this is a little
understatement there.
I think if you like chess and you're like, I want a chess movie, this is it. It's like if you like wrestling, like I'm talking like not pro, I'm talking like real, like you got Vision Quest and that's it. Like there's it's a small market. So yeah, because he is more of a, I know he has, I don't even know if he's top billing, but
no, he's like third. He's like third billing or second.
But
billing.
I mean, he's up there on the billing. But
it
still is a very supporting role. And the scenes where I forget who the kid who plays the
little boy. Yeah,
the little boy in it. His scenes playing chess with Lawrence Fishburne in the park is amazing.
You already lost. You just don't know it yet.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so many great actors deliver wonderful. Ben Kingsley, Joe Mantegna, like there's Joan Allen. So many great little performances in Bobby Fischer, and I think it's one of those movies that I remember I had a film teacher teaching us cinematography, right? How to light and how to make things look right. He's like, I want you to watch this movie because look how hard it is to put one chess piece in focus. And he set up a chessboard and a camera and lighting. And he's like, I want you to have this chess piece in focus, but that one out of focus.
Wow.
And like we spent a day trying to figure out how do you light a chessboard so that only one piece is in focus, but the one like 3 centimeters behind it, that one's out of focus. Like the amount of technical work in Bobby Fischer on a camera and lighting side, and then on the acting side, on top of all that, it's just really just a superb movie. So that's awesome that you're a fan of it too. That's so great.
I'm waiting for Chaos if he's in the chat. Like, oh, did John go to film school?
I did.
Well, he would comment that. So.
I only picked Boys in the Hood for Lawrence Fishburne because for me, I like I mentioned, he is the bedrock, the pillar of that film, and it was that role that I think cemented his future and led straight into the Tina Turner, the Ike Turner role. Yeah. And on, you know, The Matrix and all these other things. Obviously, The Matrix should be considered when you're looking at his career. But for me, it was these early roles. And then if I could have stuck Hannibal in there, I was trying to avoid TV. I know I broke the rule for Regina King, but
as you should. But yeah, I mean, again, I think you're trying to find that balance a little bit too of like at least throw in some picks that you're like, how many people have seen Searching for Bobby Fischer?
Not that many, I would imagine.
Not that many, I'm guessing. Obviously, I think if a lot of these movie heads that are watching this show are watching because they love movies too. So this chat is probably stronger with that then, but it's still trying to find that. Like most of us have all seen Matrix, like
right. Well, I love Coach Vic can quote Bobby Fischer, right? That's a movie fan. He can quote the movie right off the bat.
Yeah,
right?
If you can quote.
It's one of his favorites of all time.
It's highly underrated,
right? I think that's pretty awesome. No, I'm sorry that Cuba Gooding Jr. did not make the list. In the end, you know, there were just too many bad movies for me to be able to ignore and look at Boys in the Hood and Jerry Maguire and ignore the rest. It was too much. There was way too much. There were too many. Was it Ice Cream Man? What's the one? No, not that one. It's the one where he's the Chain Reaction or whatever. He's driving the ice cream truck with a bomb in it. And
is that Cuba?
That's Cuba and Pete Ulrich in a movie together. I'm gonna look it up.
No, that's not Chain Reaction. Is Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, but it's got a name
it's
like
something.
That.
What is it? That's all right. Someone in the chat, let us know what is Cuba Gooding. Where is the ice cream truck? Because Chain Reaction is it's Keanu Reeves. So I'm trying to.
I'm gonna find it here in a second. Chill Factor. Sorry, Chill Factor. Oh God, what a crap!
Look at this. See, this is why the chat is hanging out with us tonight because we're like Bobby Fischer and we got boom.
I mean, Cuba's really good. He was on the like long form.
Yes,
he was in the top 50 or whatever, but not the top 30. He didn't make it. Sorry.
I feel like if he was 40, he would have made it.
Rewatching Jerry Maguire, he is so good in that, and there are so many moments that he just absolutely nails. I know everybody remembers him for his "Show Me the Money" speech, but when he breaks down on the phone with his wife after he has had his injury, and they both were worried that he was going to be potentially paralyzed or whatever. Like that is a powerful moment, and that stuff gets overlooked for the showboat kind of stuff.
Yeah, the Snow Dogs wasn't good, but I since we'll get here, this is Cuba's little moment of shine. I really liked him in Men of Honor.
With De Niro. Yeah.
Yep, the scuba diving movie. I thought that was a very, very one of his better roles to see that kind of tension between those two, and then just to play off of Robert Downey Jr. Like, not Robert De Niro. Why did I say Robert Downey Jr.? Robert De Niro.
Yeah,
that would be interesting.
What was it? Judgment Night. Hey, that's a good movie. Nothing scarier than being chased around New York by Dennis Leary. Just you don't want that. No. Nobody wants that.
No one does.
All right, so I had to put those two back to back. My Ike and Tina Turner had to go back to back. So let's move on to sexy goodness, man. Holy cow, Halle Berry's smoking hot, and the problem I noticed is that as a result, she tends to be in a lot of movies where she's the window dressing, whether it's a James Bond movie. Or some of the X-Men movies where you're just like, hey, I don't know about her Storm, but she is obviously one of the Simon R.
What Dreams May Come was fantastic. And he did a really good job in that.
Fighting Temptations as well. Yeah, for sure. But we're on to the gorgeous Halle Berry.
Yep.
And yeah, but she's also incredibly talented, as we saw in a movie like Monsters Ball. Absolutely shocking performance. She's been in a ton of action movies. This girl can kick ass. Whether we're talking Wick or Bond or Swordfish, or she's a freaking Kingsman, right? She is in all that stuff. And I, of course, remember seeing her as the sexy stripper in The Last Boy Scout. Didn't really have to kick a lot of ass in that movie, but she certainly shook it really well. Some people forget Executive Decision. Nice little Steven Seagal only last movie.
Is that the one where they're trying to get on board the plane?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Steven Seagal Steven Seagal gets like
building,
and they kill him in like the first 20 minutes. Spoiler alert for a movie from the 90s.
Yes.
He's also done a ton of drama, comedy kind of stuff. There she is in Boomerang with Eddie Murphy. Strictly Business. I think she gets a little bit forgotten in some of the other things she can do. Bullworth, right? I'm a big Cloud Atlas fan. I think that's a really underrated movie that got a lot of garbage thrown on it, but I think that didn't really deserve all that hate. And then I think I got one more slide here for her X-Men movies, because she did 4 of them. And I think, in my opinion, she was in the majority of the good X-Men movies.
Yeah.
What are your Halle Berry thoughts?
There's truth to what you said, because I think her looks, like you said, they tend to put her in roles where it's like she doesn't have a chance to shine as well as she could. Right. Like what they do with Monsters Ball is fantastic. But I mean, she was in, I think a lot of people forget she was in the Flintstones movie.
Right.
Which I'm not saying it was a great movie, but she does a very good job though of action. And Swordfish is just underneath my list of my top 2 for her.
It's one of those movies that is like enjoyably bad.
Right.
Like it's ludicrous. John Travolta is just bizarre. And yet it's perfectly like Face Off-esque. I think it works on a number of levels. And Hugh Jackman is supremely compelling. Like he's really, really great. And then of course you get her topless. So like it's a lot of goodness all on every level. A lot of love for Boomerang in this chat. I see a lot of people shouting their love for Boomerang. She wasn't a good storm. Hey, Stay Puft, I'm with you on that.
I think that's the second one that said that, isn't it?
Yep. That's what I meant. Swordfish. No, I saw you say Catwoman, TJ. You can't take that back. Bullworth is a great underrated movie. I agree. She is in John Wick 3. You are correct. Warren Beatty's Bullworth is one, like Bob Roberts, one of the best modern films that discusses politics in a realistic manner. I agree. All right, you want to guess what my movies are? I think we're on my slide now. Do you have any guesses for me?
All right, go. Hold on, don't go to it yet. Go backwards.
Oh, go back. Okay.
Go backwards. I just want to see real quick because I feel like you put them on. All right, and go back one more.
They're always on the slides.
All right. So I have a feeling we're gonna have the same picks.
Okay. Let's see what I got.
I'm gonna say your 2 picks are Monsters Ball and Bullworth.
You were wrong on both accounts.
Wow.
I went with X2 because it's probably my favorite X-Men movie, and I still think Cloud Atlas is supremely underrated. Wow. And I think she has like 5 roles or something in it, and I think it's a really odd, messed up movie that has a ton of thought put into it, and I think people could really appreciate it if they were in the right mindset. I think it's a really good movie. Yeah. So I wanted someone to talk about Monsters Ball, so I was like, I'm just gonna see if Bearded Comic Bro picks some.
So I mean, obviously, that's what she won her award for. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think that was actually the first African American female to win, right? She was. So so that in and of itself, if you haven't seen Monsters Ball, because you've got Billy Bob Thornton, you've got Heath Ledger,
you got Halle Berry,
and you have Halle Berry, and the tensions that you deal with of race in that story is so compelling. And I think we kind of hit on it last or a couple weekends ago, but it's like when you're getting into relationships with people, when you get away from a computer screen and you come into a relationship with someone, maybe we didn't, maybe it's something else, but I just think like you start to see some of these racist tendencies that people have, or these biases start to fall away. And I think it does a very good job of just trying to blend that. And I mean, she won a freaking Oscar for it because she's amazing in it.
I totally agree. It's a great way to, and again, it brings up a lot of those race issues in this country. And Billy Bob, I know he kind of derailed as an actor and a writer, but a lot of his early stuff, you know, we talked about the movie Family Thing with James Earl Jones, which was co-written by Billy Bob. One False Move with Billy Bob that he wrote and Carl Franklin directed, and of course Sling Blade. I mean, there was a lot of movies about the South, about the challenges of different races in the U.S., and I think it gets overlooked by crappy modern movies that he's done. But Billy Bob really is a talented guy.
I saw Finding Forrester popped up. Was she in that? Am I missing that?
No. I think Gus Vidal brought it up to discuss it, and then
which is
it's a good movie.
Great movie. I was like, wait a second. I feel like I would have remembered that.
No, she's not in that.
But then my second one, Bulworth. I mean, the chat has spoken for me of why it's great. I mean, Gore, which, I mean, if you've never seen Bulworth, I think just even I feel like in the current climate that we're in, like it's worth a rewatch. And I want to rewatch it because it was on my list of like, I want to watch this the prep because I knew it would be one of my picks and I just didn't get to it. But I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's that elevator pitches, you know, a Democratic running up for nomination. Basically, he is out money and he's like puts a hit out on himself. So after he takes out a life insurance policy, so like his family can be secure. And then he just goes off the rails and says whatever he wants to say in the realm of politics because he's like, hey, I've got a hit out on me and
I got nothing to
lose. And like, if that doesn't just like, and I mean, it's Dick Tracy in politics, right? So if that does.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Warren Beatty, I think he didn't really have that second boom of his career. He had these small films that came along, but I don't think he ever really hit big again like he should have, because there's a lot of good films out there that he made. And Bulworth is one of those overlooked, I think, movies for sure.
Yep.
And again, I'm just going to say it, Cloud Atlas is not as shitty as people say it is. So I just wanted to
Here's the deal. I'm going to watch it now because I actually did not watch it because of how badly it got just crapped.
It got a lot of shit thrown at it, but I'm a Wachowski fan. I like how much time and energy they put into their movies. Yep. Nothing is done frivolously. And this is an example of that. They made this epic saga through like, 1,000 years. It covers all this epic time with actors playing like a different role in every time frame that they go through. I think Hanks and Halle Berry have like 5 roles in these movies. And sometimes it's like, you can't even tell it's them. They're under so much makeup. It's so complex. She's playing a white man, or she's playing a Chinese woman, or it's just layer upon layer of character. And I think it's just really unusual. You won't see anything like it.
I'm excited to watch it. We'll have to connect to that.
And I understand people that hate it because it does demand a ton. You can't just like casually watch it like I do.
The chat's talking about how the soundtrack to Bulworth was fantastic.
It is very good.
So good.
And I like that somebody, Simon, I'm glad you brought up Gothika because it is an underrated movie for sure.
It is. And honestly, if I'm being honest, it just isn't I'm not a big like horror, that realm and that it fits in for the movie that it's really good. It's just not my cup of tea.
Sure. Exactly. Goverdall says Warren Beatty writes and stars in great political films like Bulworth, Reds, and Shampoo with the Nixon administration in the background. I agree. He is supremely. I mean, Reds is a movie that it does not get as much recognition for its time. I think it's a movie that people forget about, which is weird because it's like Jack Nicholson and Warren Beatty, and this movie was huge. This movie is an Oscar-winning smash epic, and it's like, how many people talk about it anymore? Like nobody. All right, we need to keep moving.
Yeah.
We're going to go on. This is going on forever.
It's
Taraji P. Henson. Talk about just sexy awesome. I remember seeing her in Hustle and Flow, and I was like, who is this lady? She is crazy cool. And then later, my wife and I were big fans of the TV show Person of Interest, and her role on that for the first, I think, 2 seasons she was on there, or maybe 3. Great, absolutely phenomenal. I like Jim Caviezel, and of course, you got Ben Linus from Lost. Like, what is not to like there? She is so awesome. Her early films, she had a ton of little roles and things that you might not have seen her in, whether it was Baby Boy or Smokin' Aces or Talk to Me. I'm a big Benjamin Button fan. I think that was a great part for her. I think I saw Four Brothers, but I do not remember that movie at all.
so good. It's so good. Hey, let me say this. I'm saying it's so good. It is for a Mark Wahlberg movie. It's enjoyable. It is a lot of fun. But
for a Mark Wahlberg movie, that's really good. I like that.
take it
So these are some of her early movies. More recently, you've got some of her bigger films, Hidden Figures obviously being one of the biggest ones. The Best of Enemies as a really good little movie that I think a lot of people might have missed. I love Sam Rockwell in pretty much anything, so you're pretty much set with me on that one. I did not see What Men Want, which was the sequel to What Women Want. I hear she was pretty good in that. She's the mom in Karate Kid. She gets to be the mom in Karate Kid, the new Karate Kid.
which also wasn't bad.
It's not bad. It's just
Like,
not going to be like the original.
No, it's not one that I'm going to put her up for the role, but it's when they're like, oh, we're making Karate Kid, I'm like, oh, great. And
Right.
it's not bad. It's
And
again,
they're putting Jaden Smith in it. You're like, oh.
right.
But Jackie Chan is pretty good at it too.
Yeah.
And then, of course, TV and her Tyler Perry. She's worked with Tyler Perry a bunch, who we've never really mentioned in this series and probably deserves a little time. But Boston Legal, Person of Interest, and then Empire, like what a huge, iconic show for African Americans on TV. And her role as this badass woman in that show is very iconic.
And you see the chemistry that they had in Hustle and Flow.
Exactly.
That it almost makes Hustle and Flow feel like a prequel to Empire because of the storyline of what they're dealing with.
J.F. Jeffrey says, that's my wife. Hey, we would all be quite lucky for that, right? 3 seasons and part of that last one. Yeah, TJ, that he's talking about Person of Interest. I don't even need to know. I know what he's talking about when he says 3 seasons and part of that last one. Yeah, it's her role on Person of Interest was phenomenal. Really great. And the way they did her story was just really well done. The name's Cookie. You better ask something. Four Brothers. People tell me I got to watch Four Brothers again because I thought I saw it, but I don't know that I remember it all that well. And
Andre Benjamin does a really good job in that too, from Outcast. So yeah, give it a shot. Let me know. I feel like I need to watch it again because I feel like I want to make sure I'm selling it at the right level. So.
Well, no, if I know it for what it is, and
Right.
I'm not going into it thinking this is going to be
Right.
Arabia or anything. But like it's kind of weird that Tyler Perry hasn't come up, and I did consider him for a while. I'm not a huge fan of his movies, but you can't argue that the guy is a massive success, and
Right.
that his films and he's created a brand. And let's just be honest, and it crosses TV, movie, and plays, theater.
Yep.
And he is massively successful. And it's amazing how many of these actors and actresses that I've mentioned have at some time or another been a part of his world, including Taraji, who has been in several of his movies.
Yep.
Are you a big Tyler Perry fan or?
No. And it literally is just not a big fan of his style of movies for the most part. I'm a big fan of him as a person. I've gotten to hear him speak and, at like leadership conferences or stuff like that. And I think like what he's done and what he has built is something that should be taken note of. But his movies have never really hit the right notes for me.
And they come and go. Like every once in a while, I'll see one that I'm like, "Ooh, that's a pretty good one." But then other times they just don't pique my interest. And then of course he has roles in movies like Star Trek where I'm like, "What are you doing in there? You just ruined this movie for me. What are you doing? Get out of there." You don't
Did
belong.
he because then one of his didn't he redo James Patterson
Yes,
book
he's
the Alex Cross?
he's the new.
Because they
Yeah, he did. I think the movie was called Alex Cross or something like that.
yeah, I think it was just Cross, wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah. Tyler Perry has a studio with sound stages named after a third of the list.
Yes.
There you go.
Yep.
Forbes listed him as the highest paid man in entertainment, earning $130 million between May of 2010 and May of 2011. Wow. I'm not surprised. I mean, again, he has created a brand like Oprah did. You know, I mean, it's just been something that is going to stand the test. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. I think the next is my two films. So let's see what I got here. Hidden Figures and Benjamin Button. Mainly, it has to be Hidden Figures because, I mean, come on. But for me, I'm a big fan of Benjamin Button. I think a lot of people did not like that movie, but for whatever reason, it just really spoke to me. I like the metaphor for Alzheimer's that the whole film kind of builds on, and I love the way it shows aging, the cycle of life, getting older or getting younger, as being incredibly similar. It doesn't really matter that he's getting younger or she's getting older.
Right.
It's a beautiful film that has a lot to say, and Taraji is phenomenal in this. She's really, really great as the only person who legitimately sees Benjamin as worthy.
Yep, she'll nominee for that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm not sure you're going wrong with either of these movies. There you go. Thank you. I appreciate that. Boston Legal says TJ is one of my favorite all time. Denny Crane, right? My dad, I will say, was obsessed with Boston Legal.
Mine too.
Is a better film than Fitzgerald's short story it was based on. I have never read the short story, so I'll have to take your word for that.
So Hidden Figures could have been up there for me, but I think I put it up there with Octavia Spencer. So okay. I didn't want to do that again. Benjamin Button was on my list.
Oh, wow. I'm glad somebody else likes this movie. I feel like everybody I talked to was like, that movie sucks.
It doesn't. So I just you explained it well enough. There's nothing I need to add to it. So I came in going with and I don't feel bad because you've already done it. I'm breaking your rule, and I'm putting her on for TV of Empire.
Do it
because her role is Cookie. Yeah. And so if people want to cancel out, like, oh, we're talking movies, then put in Hustle and Flow. That's fine. But
that would have been my third pick. Hustle and Flow is so good.
Yeah. So so mine are Hidden Figures, Benjamin Button, and Hustle and Flow are all right there. But then Empire, she makes that show.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing that makes Hustle and Flow work, is that chemistry between her and Terrence Howard is so good.
So good.
I still got a little bit of liquor left. I'm doing all right.
I'm good.
And I think we're moving right along. I lost count, so I don't know where we are anymore. I know we're in the second half, in the middle of the second half somewhere, I think. Let's see who we got.
I know 1, 2. I know of at least 2 that we haven't hit yet. And I think there's 3.
Let's see who we got. Let's see if it's one of the ones you're thinking of. Delroy Lindo. And I will say all 4 of these movies on this slide could have made my favorites for him. All 4 of them. If you've never seen Soul of the Game, it's a great made-for-TV movie about Negro League baseball. And he plays Satchel Paige. And there are some iconic moments. Of course, it's really about Jackie Robinson being chosen as the one to represent the Negro Leagues in the majors. And that's a great story. But it's not even a cameo, because he's really the second lead. His role as Satchel Paige is so amazing. There's this sequence when he's pitching, and to psych out the hitter, he brings his entire defense to sit around the mound, right? He brings them all in. He's like, no, I don't need any of you guys. Just come on and sit right here. I got this guy. And all the hitter has to do is just hit the ball, and he gets a hit. And Satchel just completely, mind screws this guy. It's an amazing little moment. But the movie really shows you why Satchel wasn't chosen and why Jackie Robinson was. Yeah. And that relationship is really something that doesn't get discussed enough. It's really, really phenomenal. And a good little film. And I'm super pumped that somebody in the chat has seen it, because I do think not a lot of people saw it. and it meant a lot to me when I saw. I'm a baseball fan, and I was like, I hadn't read about Satchel Paige when I was young, and my dad made me read a bunch about Jackie Robinson, of course, because he's a Dodger fan.
Yes, TJ, you missed him. I think first week.
It was the very first week. So this is for those just tuning in or those catching this for the first time, this is the part 3. I did 10 people from African Americans in cinema each time. Bearded was in the chat round 1, joined for round 2, and he's here for round 3 because he just knows his movies. So do you have any of these that you've seen or that you really like?
So all 4 I've seen. Like you said, you can't go wrong. Get Shorty. I love it. And I love his role in Get Shorty. It just is one of those buck wild. It really is. And if you haven't seen it, I think they tried to do a TV show off of it recently, which don't.
They tried to make a sequel. They made a sequel.
They made Be Cool.
So bad.
It is. It's bad. There's no justification for it, but I still enjoy it, quite frankly, for The Rock's role in that movie.
Well, yeah, The Rock is very good. Yeah.
But so yeah, Get Shorty, fantastic. I mean, and how can you not talk about Cider House Rules? Like, amazing. But man, the chat just dropped something though. That is
this one.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
TJ says, "Yep, he's definitely replacing Fire Guy Ryan." I don't know, Coach Vic. I might argue against it, but maybe I need to watch it again. I think I only ever saw it one time.
The problem is it's
What's up, noob?
It is entertaining. I will say this with Vic: it's entertaining. And entertaining doesn't have to necessarily mean good.
Right. We've said that a bunch tonight.
It's entertaining. And I think what it does, I think where it's not good is Get Shorty is such a unique and cool story that is done that they're just like, let's take the same story. Let's just take it from movies now and put it into the music realm and have the same process and and we're just going to find this wacky way now again that we're going to try and get there. So it doesn't add anything to Get Shorty. It doesn't add its own essence, but you look at it for the characters. Like John Travolta is still as good as Chili Palmer.
Right.
The Rock's character is hilarious. I mentioned Andre in Four Brothers. He's in this. I think he does a great job in that role. So it's entertaining. It's not a good movie.
So I think it fits in the same category with Men in Black as far as great movies by the director Barry Sonnenfeld. Yep. And then people tried to make sequels without Barry Sonnenfeld, and they made crap movies.
Yup. You want
me to skip to the next few slides for me? See what we got?
Go ahead. Whatever you want to do.
He is also one of the few people that is deeply connected to theater, like plays, and he is a theater director. That he runs a theater group. So that's a big part of his career that I wasn't aware of until I did some research on him. His early films, he played a lot of bad guys or cops. He had a lot of that kind of thing back and forth. I love his role in Ransom as the head of the FBI. And later it kind of led to this great role in the TV show Kidnapped, where he basically was playing the same role again. But he got to be the lead. I think it came from how good he was in Ransom personally. He's the scumbaggy guy in Congo. Blood In, Blood Out, definitely worthy of mentioning. That's a good movie.
Which Congo is highly entertaining for me as well.
It's not horrible.
It's not a bad movie. It's a horrible premise. It's
ludicrous.
It's nostalgia for me. I mean, I saw it in the theater as a kid. I'm probably one of the only few people that I still have action figures from Congo.
I would be willing to bet. That's awesome.
And so I think it's I forgot he was in it when you put this on the list, because I remember Ernie Hudson was in it, and I was trying to remember, and he was the guy in the village. Yeah, he was the sleazy guy. Yeah.
And then, of course, later films, I loved him in Devil's Advocate. He has this great voodoo villain character in that. He's the voice of, I think it's Beta or Alpha. No, he's not Alpha, is he? One of the dogs in Up. He is the voice of one of the dogs in Up. Gone in 60 Seconds, people have been mentioning. Last Castle, nobody really brought that one up, I don't think. And of course, we mentioned Cider House Rules and Soul.
Last Castle. Delroy does great in Last Castle. I don't think he gets as much of enough time to shine. But if you haven't seen Last Castle at all, Redford and James Gandolfini is a really good movie. It's basically at a war prison, and Robert Redford has to do what Robert Redford does, and it was like, hey, we got to basically overthrow James Gandolfini. And it's a really good movie that I think is often overlooked.
And it's a stacked cast of incredibly talented people. Delroy, Mark Ruffalo,
Gandolfini. Yep.
Yeah, so many great people in that movie.
And then obviously his role in Gone in 60 Seconds and Nicolas Cage and Eleanor, it got so good.
Hard to go wrong, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what I got here. I got Spike Lee. He's worked with Spike Lee a bunch, including I've got to watch The Five Bloods, which just dropped here about a month ago.
Okay.
I hear great things, and he's supposed to have a very controversial part in that as a hard conservative African-American gentleman. I'm a huge Clockers and Crooklyn fan. I think his roles in those movies are great. I had forgotten that he had a part in Malcolm X, so rewatching. It's a very tiny. It's not like he's like one of the big parts in that.
Right.
But it was nice seeing him in.
Well, how many people on our list were on Malcolm X?
A lot.
Lawrence Fisher, Denzel, and someone else.
I'm sure some of the ladies that we mentioned, right?
Was it? I don't remember, but yes.
Crooklyn. Are you talking about Crooklyn, brother? You're talking about Crooklyn, I think. Last Castle was a movie about leadership. It is, yeah.
It is. It really is.
Definitely.
Coach Big.
So do you want to guess mine? Do you want to say yours? How do you want to do this?
You know what? This is fun. You can guess mine.
Ooh, okay. Let's see. Let me go back through here.
I'll tell you this. Mine are okay. Go. Yep. Okay, mine are on the list. You have the images there.
I'm gonna say you picked Cider House Rules.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say you picked Get Shorty.
Okay.
But I picked Clockers and Get Shorty.
Okay.
Huge Clockers fan. That was one of the first Spike Lee movies I saw that I was like, I could watch this over and over again. And I watched it a ton. I loved the way he used camera. I loved the way he attached people to the camera and moved them around. I loved the performances from Turturro and Harvey Keitel and Delroy as this villain, this menacing, badass villain. I really did love that movie a crap ton. And I think it gets overlooked because it seems like lesser Spike Lee, but I think it's just powerful. And it's based on a Richard Price novel. And I like his books. And for those who don't know who Richard Price is, he writes great crime books. But then he later started writing for The Wire, which Stay Puft and I are huge fans of. So he's an incredibly talented writer, deeply connected to crime stories. And this is one of the adaptations of his novels.
Yeah. So I thought you were going to have Cider House Rules. So we had the same with Get Shorty.
Nice.
It is just what it is. But my other one was Ransom.
Nice. Let's talk about Ransom. We kind of skimmed over that one.
We did. So, and I've recently rewatched. So I watched Ransom as a kid, but then I rewatched it recently as now a father.
Okay.
It hits me even and completely like that's more of a scary movie to me now than like Nightmare on Elm Street, just because it's more of that realistic scare. Like. Luckily, I'm not famous and have a lot of money, so no one would want to kidnap my kids. But
sorry, yeah, no Keith David. But isn't he the guy you never touch another man's fries? Isn't he? Isn't that Keith David in Men at Work? I can't remember if that's Keith David anymore. Did I just blow that?
I don't know. But
yeah, Keith David.
His interactions with Mel Gibson in that movie, I just think are really well done. And I think I'm trying to go for like, is it better than Clockers? Is it better than Cider House Rules? No, but it's up there as in like, I think it's one of those, if you haven't seen Ransom, it's going to be something that And I feel like that's the same with Get Shorty. I feel like it's a very different. Get Shorty is a very good movie that I think a lot of people haven't seen.
Yeah, which is a bummer because I do think it's probably the movie of Delroy's that I've watched the most.
Yes.
I will happily, if I catch a piece of Get Shorty, I'm watching the rest of Get Shorty. It's funny. It's got great twists. Everybody is perfectly cast. Like I love Gene Hackman in this like movie. He is so good. Danny DeVito as this spoiled movie star is phenomenal. I love when he pulls the trigger, but like clip falls out of the gun. Like he's so great. Harvey Keitel at the end, great little cameo.
Who is the guy? I feel like he's in every movie. Then you forget he's partners with Delroy in the movie. Older white guy with a sash.
Let me Get Shorty. Sorry. Let's see here. Probably Dennis Farina.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's who I was thinking of. So.
Who, by the way, was an actual police officer, and he started working as a technical advisor on Miami Vice, and he got to be friends with Michael Mann. Michael Mann then cast him in Manhunter as the head of the FBI, and he was so good in that he started transitioning into actual acting in movies, and then he became a big star on his own.
That's awesome.
So that's a cool little thing about Dennis. Yeah. Great actor. So he was in Men at Work. I'm super pumped about who Keith David was, and anytime somebody says Keith David, I instantly think of the line, "You never touch another man's fries." When Charlie Sheen or Emilio tries to take his fries, and he grabs them, and he's like, "Never touch another man's fries." So Ransom is a great movie. I think I remember seeing that in the theater a couple times, and that was when Mel Gibson was huge.
Yep.
And it was you got Rene Russo again, right? Great Rene Russo part. And again, I feel like Delroy kind of steals the movie from both of them.
He does. Who else? Gary Sinise is in that.
Yes, because he's the bad guy. Yeah. What I like about that role is I really dug the TV show Kidnapped, which came out a few years after, and Delroy plays the head of this FBI unit on kidnapping, and it only lasted one season, but I was like, or maybe 2 seasons. I was like super into it. I really dug that show. Great little.
I'd never watched it, so.
And the lead actor is I have trouble remembering what the TV series was. I'll jump to the lead actor was Jeremy Sisto. And he was like the guy you hire to get the kid back. If you need to get the kid back, he's the guy you hire. And he's like, it's like, I've got a certain set of skills kind of thing. We're still going strong here, brother. We're rolling along.
But I think that's what he does, though. Delroy does really good. I mean, that's in Gone in 60 Seconds. His chemistry with Nicolas Cage and that, like it, you stole the show in Ransom, you said, and that's what he does. So
yeah. Well, and in the great cast of Get Shorty, he is still totally memorable.
Yeah, I mean, look at the 4 that are on there, and I feel like Delroy is one of those actors sometimes that you can go, I forgot he's in that movie.
Right.
But you don't forget he's in Get Shorty if you've seen it. And so that says enough of him, who he is as an actor, because of who he's with.
I think John and Bearded should do a film trivia contest. That would be a blast.
That would. I feel like that would be. It just depends on what routes they go, because you never know.
Right. I'm down.
Let's do
it. We're trying to think of where this show is going to go, because definitely there will be more at some point.
Yes.
But we got to keep moving. Otherwise, we're going to be 2 hours in on this.
I think we only got one more.
You think so?
I think so.
I think you're right. I do think the last one is Mr. Sam Jackson himself, the original bad motherfucker.
Hold on to your butts.
I remember seeing Pulp Fiction. Yeah, hold on. And taking my wallet and trying to write bad motherfucker on my wallet, because I loved that moment when they're digging his wallets out. He's like, I need my wallet back. And he's like, well, which one's yours? He's like, it's the one that says bad motherfucker. And you're thinking in your head in that moment that he's being figurative. That it's the wallet that sort of tells you, oh, this is a bad motherfucker's wallet. But no, it literally says, stitched onto it, bad motherfucker. And at that moment, you're like, this guy's freaking awesome. And then he only continued to be more badass going forward after that. I think he is he's freaking cool, man. Snakes on a plane. This guy is the bomb. Right? I was super pumped to find a Winter Soldier poster with him just front and center, looking all awesome on it. And yeah, Jurassic Park, he's got a small little role in that. Sadly, does not survive for very long. I found a Jackie Brown poster with him as the main role on it. I love it. So early films, he has a ton of small parts. I love his little bit in Patriot Games as Harrison Ford's buddy. He gives him the medal with the giant target on it. Phenomenal. I love Loaded Weapon. National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon is freaking hilarious. I love Lethal Weapon, and it burns on Lethal Weapon perfectly.
It does.
Hilarious. His partner, Whoopi Goldberg, who died, the whole backstory thing, he is phenomenal. Jungle Fever, Menace to Society, Do the Right Thing, Goodfellas, True Romance. He's got all these little small parts before, obviously, Pulp Fiction.
Right.
He just blew up. And then it was kind of like, after Pulp Fiction, you see his face on like every freaking poster. He even got to be the guy who hangs out with John McClane for a whole movie and survives.
Right.
How many people can claim that?
The Negotiator.
And
so good.
And A Time to Kill, which I think is one of the best, if not the best, adaptation of a Grisham novel, and has all these great performances from so many great people. Kiefer Sutherland, Matthew McConaughey, Sandra Bullock, Sam Jackson, Kevin Spacey. I mean, it's just a stacked movie full of great actors.
Well, I think what's great about that movie is it's a great movie, and I think a lot of people forget that it's directed by Joel Schumacher. Rest in peace. But because I feel like when you hear Joel Schumacher's name, everyone instantly attaches Batman Forever and Batman Robin to it, and they forget. And don't get me started. I like those movies. I'm one of the few, but that's more for nostalgia too. But I think people forget that he directed some great movies. So,
absolutely. I mean, there's a ton. If you only know Joel Schumacher from the Batman movies, you're missing out on a ton of great movies. Flatliners.
Well, and Matthew McConaughey attributes like that role basically was kind of what's jumped him up into like, hey, I can be a leading man.
Absolutely. And I remember seeing things all about how Joel Schumacher's like, he kept saying to Matthew McConaughey, I'm going to make your ass a star. And he was not being figurative. He was saying like they tailored pants to make Matthew McConaughey's butt look attractive. And they framed shots to basically make ladies look at his ass for the whole movie. And he's like, every pair of pants this guy wears are going to be tailored, and we're going to make his ass a star.
Mm-hmm.
Negotiator is a great movie. I'm glad a lot of people know from that. He is a Jedi. I freaking agree. And I mentioned Eve's Bayou. It's on this page here because it's a great, small, underrated film that a lot of people might never have seen. And if you get a chance to see it, it's a great like art house film. Really good movie. And let's see here. We got his more recent stuff. I love this laughing pose. Look at him. He's always like so serious, right? He's just giving you the like, I'm a bad motherfucker stare.
Yep.
And then it's like, no, man, this guy's he's probably making fun and jokes all the time. But yeah, he's Frozone in the Incredible movies. You know that. Who else? I still feel like he is one of the best cast actors in the MCU. His Nick Fury is phenomenal. I love it. Unbreakable, Coach Carter. The Star Wars prequels are only decently watchable because his purple lightsaber is badass. And then, of course, basically every Quentin Tarantino made movie.
Yep.
Right. What is that? What are your feelings on Sam Jackson?
Enjoyable. Like, I think like he has so many great movies where he is a solid support in it.
Mm-hmm.
But like when he gets his chance to shine as a lead or a co-lead, I think that's where you see how good of an actor that he is.
Sure.
I'm not going to put a handful of his movies that he's done in like my top list of great movies. But I like Kingsman. he does a lot of those roles where, like, oh yeah, he was in that. Oh yeah, he was in that. And it's not because they're in small roles. It just is because he's in so many movies.
Right. Yeah,
But,
I mean, I couldn't fit them all. There's just no way. And
No.
I almost could have done like a Quentin Tarantino page.
Yep.
He has a great scene stealing moment in Out of Sight, which is a movie I've mentioned before on here that I just really love. And his little cameo at the end of that is just another little great moment. Absolutely. And of course, we didn't mention the Unbreakable trilogy, which I have not seen the newest one, Glass. But I think Unbreakable is a phenomenal movie. And I think that's why I put it here with Pulp Fiction among my two movies that I would pick for him. He's worked with Bruce Willis a fair amount of times. These are two of those movies right here. But Jules Winfield and Mr. Glass are two of my favorite performances from Sam's career. And they probably were pretty close together. I don't think they were too far apart, these films, maybe 5-6 years.
Let's see. Pulp Fiction was
I think Pulp Fiction was 96. And I want to say
Pulp Fiction was 94.
Okay, and then was Unbreakable 99?
I think Unbreakable was 2000s.
2000.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
2000. Yep, 2000. So 6 years. So you said 5.
There you go.
It works.
I just really love those two performances. They're the movies that I'm always going to think of when I think of Sam Jackson. I as good as he is in the MCU, these are the movies. I even got my Zed's Dead T-shirt on because I knew I would be talking about Pulp Fiction at the end of the night.
So good. So I knew you were going to go. I figured you were going to go Pulp Fiction or Jackie Brown. But I felt like we've talked about Jackie Brown enough that you probably went to Pulp Fiction.
Nice. Good thinking.
Unbreakable was on there for me. I have seen all three in that trilogy.
Okay.
So I did just watch Glass during quarantine, actually. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I enjoyed it. Like, when they said Unbreakable was one of those movies where they're like, we're going to do a sequel to Unbreakable. I'm like, how? And I think it's because Unbreakable is one of those movies that really didn't need a sequel. And it's hard because that's what made the movie so great was, just the storytelling that M. Night did in that. And so I think it's hard to tell that story in a fresh way where you go, oh, I thought they did a good enough job for me going in with low expectations for a sequel to Unbreakable, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I totally agree. It's its own story. Just like I think, what was the second one called?
Split.
It stands on its own.
Well, and it does, because you don't even know it is until they bring it into that world. So,
and I think they rushed the third one from what I can hear. And so I was kind of like, I don't know that I need to see it. I like both of those movies, and it's fine that they have a shared universe. I don't need a third one.
Yeah. I think if you enjoyed the first two, I don't think like you're gonna watch Glass and go, this ruined everything for me. I think you'll probably walk away with the same mindset of like, I don't think it needed a sequel, but if you're gonna do a sequel, this works. And so I was trying to mix it up a little bit, and so I am a sucker for a good sports movie. And man, Coach Carter, I had to. You give me that. We're gonna mold you young men and the young boys and the men, and we're gonna. It's more. We just put that student athlete. It's student comes first. Like, just it's a role that Sam does good job in, and I thought obviously he carries it, and remembering like Channing Tatum's in it, and
yeah, I think it's kind of like 7 pounds, right? It's this film for somebody that is known for a bunch of like big budget films. He has some really great small gems that people may not have seen.
Yep. Ooh. Yeah, I agree with Keith. Glass needed to be a larger scale. Yeah.
But I think what made what I liked about Unbreakable and what I liked about Split is they were these small character films.
Yep.
And I don't think that again, I haven't seen Glass, but I felt like what they needed was their version of a big budget film, but they needed to find a way to do it in their own way. And sorry, Simon R mentions the Sunset Limited, and I have never seen that, so I'm gonna have to check that out. But I think that they needed to find a way to do the style of those first two films, but still have the climactic third piece in this trilogy. I was excited to hear they were doing it, but I felt like, man, they're kind of rushing it. I thought they had this big gap between the first two. They were going to do a big gap between the second and third, but they rushed right into that one.
Yeah, I just don't know. I know TJ said they needed a sequel. It needed it. I just don't know if sure it needed it. It could use a sequel. It didn't need it, I would say, though. I just don't know if they were able to find the right sequel for it. That's where I'm at. But it was still enjoyable. I did not see Unbreakable.
The little like end film subtitle pieces or whatever that they put at the end of Unbreakable, where they say like he was never seen again, or he was in jail for whatever. Like I wish they had thrown all that out and just ended the film, and then I would have wanted a sequel. But they threw that stuff on there, and I was like, well, they basically told me the sequel. I don't know that I need it now.
Right.
So that was kind of my feeling. John Sayles, 8 Men Out, one of the best sports films, along with Bull Durham. That would be my favorite sports film. But I love.
Was that? Because I was on a stream last night and you were on it. That's why Bull Durham got mentioned, because you were on it.
I quote that movie constantly, and I think Ron Shelton is a really underrated writer director.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't know who he is, he did Bull Durham, but he did Play to the Bone, which is a boxing film. He did Tin Cup, with golf film. He does a lot of sports movies, and what you'll notice is that he has a pattern of not caring whether the hero wins the big game. Yeah. He was a minor league baseball player who never made it, and I think he learned the value in losing, and that characters gain more character from losing. And so his films notoriously, I forgot White Men Can't Jump, his basketball movie. He makes sports movies where the hero will definitely lose the big game. You can be pretty much guaranteed to see the hero fail in spectacular fashion, but learn some other life lesson.
Yeah, and that only didn't work for me with Tin Cup. I could not stand how I'm like, no one would do that. Stop. He blew up getting that. No, stop. I was like, it made me so mad. Yes, I don't know if that's why you said it, but it made me so mad because I'm like, no. And that's where I felt like it was thrown in there to throw in there.
Yeah, I loved it because it felt like it fit his character. He was that big of a screw up. I bought it top to bottom as him, but it's not his best movie. I don't even think it's his third best movie.
No,
because it's definitely Bull Durham and White Men Can't Jump. And then
a sports list would be a blast. Someone said sports movie list.
Ooh, we could definitely do that. Maybe that's what we do next time. I'm down for that.
Yeah. Oh, because people are saying Hoosiers, which
that's a great sports movie.
So I live about a 2.5, 3 hour, about a 2 hour drive actually from where they shot the Hoosiers gymnasium. So it's a straight shot over. So my dad and I took a tour of it one time. And it literally is just curated by the townspeople. So you call them and they're like, hey, like, we want to come see. And there's like 12 people in this town and they all have keys. And so they're like, oh, we'll see if Joe's available. All right, nope, Jan's going to take you guys through. And they all know everything. And they just let you shoot hoops in the basketball gym. Like, it's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My brother is a lawyer, and he went to some event. And Jimmy Chitwood, the actor who played Jimmy, was there. And my brother's like, I was geeking out. I took pictures with him. He was like there with his wife for some other reason, and he's not like really an actor anymore. And my brother's like, I was taking pictures with him and talking with him about basketball all night.
Yep. Oh man, I feel like Sports List is going to be very divisive, though.
It definitely will be. We'll have to figure out a way to divide it, maybe by sport.
Yeah,
have like a basketball, a boxing, a golf, a football, or whatever,
Yeah.
Could be a lot of fun. So maybe we'll break it down by sport and have a page for each sport. That could be a lot of fun. But I'm a big baseball guy, so the baseball one would be like 10 pages long, and the football would be like a half a page.
I don't know because I think you think football.
That's just me. I don't like football very much. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, but but the movies are still good.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love Remember the Titans. I own Remember the Titans. That one I could watch that one a million times.
Yeah.
I would say JFK made him a star. There's a lot of Kevin Costner talk. I grew up in a household that loved Kevin Costner, so I'm a huge Costner fan. And if you want to talk westerns, I think Open Range is one of the most underrated Costner movies ever made. That movie is freaking amazing.
Man, talk westerns. There's a lot we could go. There's many amounts.
I'm feeling the sports thing a lot.
I like that idea.
Sports thing could be a lot of fun. So maybe expect something from us. We'll announce it. It might be a couple of weeks away. It might take time to organize our thoughts a little bit. Put some slides together.
Oh, I'll have to actually help John with this one because he's been taking the lead. I just hop on. I'm like, yeah, let's talk.
Right? No, but we can do it the same way, where it's like I do football and I run through some football highlights, and then you say.
Because I think there is like that, like because you could do the sport by sports, but I also think Jeffrey's comment, Mighty Ducks Rookie of the Year. There's probably like you could also do like 90s, a category in of itself of 90s sports movies because you have Mighty Ducks, you have Rookie of the Year, Little Big League, Sandlot, The Big Green, all of those kid sports movies in that era where it was like this is. So there's multiple categories that you could go other than just sports. So
absolutely,
I think chat's saying Any Given Sunday.
They do, yeah. We talked about Any Given Sunday.
We did.
Jamie Foxx, absolutely. All right, we're going to get out of here. If you guys have any comments on stuff you want to see us try out for this series, this is the end of the original trilogy, but it doesn't mean we won't have new series coming along soon at some point. If you don't know Greg, check out Bearded Comic Bro. The channel is in the description for this video. You can click and get over there and give him more subs. But if you don't know about him, then you're not watching a lot of live streams because I swear I see this dude. I think you were on 3 shows today or 3 shows yesterday.
So I was hopped on Rod's show yesterday, and then we transferred over to JP over at Discovery Bay. Then I was on Dylan's this afternoon with Second Street Marvel and Chaos, and then now with you. And
see, I told you Ryan is done. Checkmate.
So no, yeah, I mean, yeah, I just like talking comics and pop culture. Like this was a fun series to kind of hop into because in my span when I got out of comic books, like when I was in high school and college and just started exploring, I fell into pop culture. I'm obsessed with movies. So like this is just my second love of comics and movies. So,
and I will say I probably loved movies before comics. So this is my first love. Like this is like I don't talk about movies as much anymore. That's a great fun fact. Gore Vidal, I totally agree. And somewhere they say somebody has the footage of him. He had a scene committing suicide that was cut from the movie The Big Chill, where they show you the character committing suicide. And in the end, they decided it was better not to see the character, that we never see him. But you do see his hair getting combed and his sleeves. Like all the close-ups of the body are his body. And so Costner is the dead guy in The Big Chill. And because they cut his big dramatic scenes, Lawrence Kasdan, the writer-director, promised him that when he made his Western Silverado, he would give Costner one of the big roles. So that's why Costner's got the showboat role in Silverado. All right, we're going to bounce out of here. You guys have a great night. Bearded Comic Bro, thank you so much for joining, man. This has been awesome.
No, thank you for having me.
Do you have any videos coming up? Anything people should be checking out, watching for?
So right now I'm finding my groove of you act like I don't have a Hickory jersey. We weren't talking Hoosiers, so maybe we'll make sure that I'm probably one of the few people that have sports jerseys in my house but are from movies.
Right? I'm still trying to get a Satchel Paige. I want to get a Satchel Paige replica jersey because they make the Negro League jerseys. You can buy them and they support the Negro League Museum, which is in Virginia, I think. I can't remember what state it's in.
So don't worry, Gore, if John wants to talk movies with me, I am not a horror guy, so you're not going to – I won't be any good to him talking Halloween or Friday the 13th.
No, I don't need horror movies in my life.
So no, I've been doing unboxings, and because that's what y'all like to watch. So I'm like, all right, I like them, and so I'll keep doing it. And I've really started to get into. I've been doing some creator interviews lately, and so I'm just doing some small ones. So check out if you like interviews of. I just like to know how the sauce gets made, right? So that's what we talk about, of just kind of figuring out what. So I just did one a couple weeks ago a couple days ago. Osiris Path, new comic company called Behemoth, that is starting out. So it was just kind of cool to kind of be on the ground floor there, talking with a writer of a book, which is basically, if you haven't read Osiris Path, it's going to be tough to get because it's going to a second printing, but it's Indiana Jones in space is basically the elevator pitch.
Nice.
So, so I do a lot of unboxings and I do a lot of creator interviews as I'm trying to figure out what I like to do, because I want to create content that I enjoy. So
it's YouTube, right? It's not them. Yep. It's whatever. So I keep joking about my channel. Like, people used to tease me, like, Bueller would be like, you got to be doing Comic Tom would be like, you do comics. If you want to do a movie channel, set up a different YouTube channel. I was like, no, this is my tool, but it can be anything I want it to be.
And that's what it is. I like unboxings and people like to watch them, so I'll do it. But then, like, my creator interviews, like, not as much. And I'm like, I don't care. I like to do them. So.
Right. I totally agree.
So, yeah. So I appreciate you having me on.
Heck yeah, man. We'll do it again for sure.
So, yeah.
I'm going to be on shows on pretty much every night next week. I got tomorrow night doing Dungeons and Dragons, Monday on Alec White Will Comics channel. Monday night, I'm on The Boy Who Had Sevens channel because we're back to Comic Gories. Tuesday, I should be doing a major unboxing. I think it's possible that my TJ Slab Dragon birthday present will be here. And I might have a buddy like Adam or JP that wants to jump on and unbox something with me. Then let's see, Wednesday is book club, and I am hosting, I think this week. Yeah, I think I'm hosting, and we're doing the Deceased Dead Planet.
Oh, because you guys had to postpone that one.
Yeah,
okay.
Some people couldn't get the issue number 1 because of whatever Midtown was doing. So we'll be doing Deceased Dead Planet. Hopefully everybody will have read it by then and want to just jump in and give us all their hot takes on book club. Yes, Gore Vidal, I love the Linklater Before Sunrise, Sunset, Midnight trilogy, and I'm hopeful they'll make a 4th film because those have all been phenomenal.
So yeah, we can talk Ethan Hawke movies too. We can do that. So
Boyhood, sorry. Yeah, great movies. So we're going to bounce out of here. It's been a Thanatos goodbye, and I apologize to you all, although TJ loves those kind of goodbyes. Everybody have a great night, and we'll see you at the movies.